Thank you for joining me. It's September 24th, and I have so much I want to talk to you guys about. I wish I could just like sit in here and make videos all day and just give information, but I can't because I do work. So, but I do make time to do a lot of research. I work from home, so I just do a lot of research during the day, listen to radio shows and different things like that, documentaries, and just kind of get information that people are putting out there, because it's good information. No matter, all good information is good. So there's a lot going on right now about the ISIS beheadings, and I mean, this has been, I mean, I've heard everything to, I mean, you know, they're beheading Christians, they're persecuting Christian women over there. I heard all kinds of crazy stuff, that it was a green screen, that it wasn't a real beheading. And I know people that have seen real beheadings that say that it's not a real beheading, that it was a green screen used. There's pictures of this gentleman with, you know, all kinds of different people that are part of the regime. And ISIS, you know, the notice of the President of the United States does not call it ISIS. So that is very interesting, and it sounds more like, instead of ISIS, like Isis and Lil, which is one bloodline, and then Isis Enki is another bloodline. So it's very interesting that he calls it ISIL, and it has an acronym. I'm well aware of it. But the original ISIS project was in Russia a very long time ago, and that is when they raided underground tombs. No one thought to go underground to the pyramids to look for tombs. So that is when they found supposedly the first, you know, alien entity, living humanoid that they found, or hominoid, underground in those tombs. And it's actually, there's video of it. That's very old footage that I recently acquired through, you know, Jeff King, and you can look up Jeff King, 9/11, through his research, because he knew he was dying. So he put like almost all the information he knew on discs, and so I get these like crazy stacks of discs, and they are so crazy. I mean, they're just, the information is mind blowing. When you watch it, you're like, oh my god. I mean, he had like tons of MK Ultra documents that he scanned and put into files and stuff, and world maps, you know, maps from all over the world, the pantheons, I mean, just everything. So in regards to the beheadings going on over there, you know, I would challenge it. And the reason why I challenge it is because there's a place in Pasadena, California, known as Stan Winston Studios. And you've seen Stan Winston. So basically every ghoul or monster, from Terminator and Aliens and the Predator to Tank Girl and Interview with the Vampire, are all Stan Winston's work. Okay, so I will show a clip at the end of this video of my brother's movie. So when my brother made this movie called Teenage Caveman, which just was a fucking terrible movie, I'm sorry, it was just awful, made by these not real Jews, because we filmed on a high holy day at Sony Pictures Studios. Not we filmed, but they filmed. I went on a high holy Jewish holiday in, I believe it was in Pasadena, where Sony Pictures Studio was. I don't even remember. And they joked around that, you know, they wanted to film that day because all the Jews weren't there, but they themselves are supposed to be Jews. So it's just very interesting. And it's a lot of child pornography. The reason that they chose my brother is because he was 18, but he looked like a 16-year-old. So, and he did that movie Ken Park. So, in being a part of this, I was able to do a tour of Stan Winston Studios by Stan Winston. So not only have I met Stan Winston, but I got a tour of his studio by him. So I had to sign a $5 million contract to walk through the door, which says I won't give out any future movie scenes, like, because you're seeing all the dead bodies from like all the movies, the Scream movies. They were filming Pearl Harbor at that time, so they had all the bodies from Pearl Harbor, you know, lined up, all the people that were going to die and how they were going to die and stuff. And so they have an entire room of like heads. And I understand that a lot of times they give the heads back. Like Larry Clark actually has my brother's prosthetic head, and the eyes move, the mouth moves. It looks like, you know, it looks real. It looks like it's dying. So, and they do it down to, like, they take a picture of the eye. They do it down to, like, the specks in the eye are absolutely exact. So, if you can look at that, you can just Google a clip like beheading teenage caveman or teenage caveman, and there's all kinds of scenes in there. My brother getting his head ripped off. And, you know, they got, like, blood squirting and blood squirting and all this crazy stuff. But, so I thought it was interesting that Game of Thrones had to make a public apology because they used George Bush's head in place of Ned Stark's head, which is the wolves. The wolf, their sigil is the wolf. So they used a replica of President Bush's head as Ned Stark's head. I'm sorry, I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I just wrote it for you, but anyways, so being at Stan Winston's studio, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. There are plenty of fucking heads. They can make as many heads as they need to make. Why are they running out of heads? They've made Dracula movies. They have made crazy movies where there's like thousands of heads on stakes, you know? You can go to a Halloween store and get heads. So, I thought it was interesting that Game of Thrones ran out of heads and they had to make a public apology. HBO did. You notice, like, after people die, like, Joan Rivers died, and then all of a sudden you have, like, videos of her saying that Obama is gay and that Michelle Obama is a transgender. But these videos and clips, you know, they don't really make it out until after the people die. So, just bear with me on this, because a lot of people talk about Operation Bluebeam and the holographic technology and what they're actually doing with it. So I have a theory that Yeshua was actually nothing like the image that people say that he was, and that the image of Muhammad is the identical image of what we know as Christ. That's my cat meowing. Of what we know as Christ. And the reason is because I think they use the same holographic projection, and that is why they don't allow that image to be shown in the United States. Because if you were to see the image of Muhammad, you would most definitely know that it is Jesus. It's the same holographic plate as Jesus. And I rented a car, because I work in Los Angeles from time to time, and so I rented a car, and somebody left in the disc a Muslim disc of a disc player, a Muslim disc, and it had Muhammad, and it was like identical to Jesus. And so, and also, our church that we were attending, which was Radiant Church Visalia, we were attending that church, and when the men all went to what they call man camp, and they go up to the mountains and they do this camp, they were talking about how everybody in the Middle East was like, they're all whispering, you know, oh, did you see him? Did you see him? I saw him. Did you see him? And they're all thinking that they're seeing Jesus. I mean, these are like, this is fucking crazy. Like, the fact that they're trying to mind control people, like, grown-ass men. Like, when my husband came back and told me this, I was like, you don't really believe that, do you? Like, the Bible talks about that. And he was like, no, I just thought it was weird, you know? Like, he doesn't believe anything that people just tell him. You know, he's really skeptical about stuff because there's so many lies and deception. But he felt, you know, inclined to tell me about it. And I was like, holy shit, you know, because, like, my Bible's like, if people say, like, here is Jesus, I saw him, he is here, don't go there. For my time is not yet come, I go to be with the Father. So it's like, it's even interesting, like, even if that stuff isn't true, that they would go against their own doctrine at like a desperate grasp to harness energy and manipulate people. And so, I mean, people were coming at me with all kinds of different stuff. Like, are you saying this and that about these people? I'm like, I'm not saying anything about any particular people. I'm just saying this is what happened. You can make of it what you want. I'm sure Christians will twist anything around. They're so desperate for what they believe in to be true. And I understand. I was there once. I understand. But it's time for all children to grow up, right? Children aren't conservators of shit. If you want to inherit a kingdom, you need to grow up, okay? Or your keeper inherits it, okay? So, something to think about. So he was telling me about this, people saying the church feeding this nonsense that people are seeing Jesus and everybody's converting to Christianity. First of all, let's just back that up. Muslims don't convert to Christianity, okay? I actually heard a woman named Diana, who lives with a friend of mine, telling me that, I think I almost got him. I think the Muslims are gonna come around. I think they're gonna come around and accept Jesus Christ. I think they will. I have almost got these people I work with at the mall to accept him. I was like, people are fucking retarded. Like, first of all, Christians buckle. They buckle every day under pressure. Muslims don't. They're not afraid of death. They're not afraid of you. They're not afraid of me. They know more truth than you know. They know the enemy's story. They know their own story. They know the true story. They know what they're doing. They're not like Christians in America where, I mean, like, they just drink blood, pray a prayer, and they really, truly think that's going to get them, like, everlasting whatever. Or, meanwhile, the harder people pray, the worse this world gets. So, in all of this and talking about all this stuff, I was like, wow. And then also, just on a side note, he owns a little, like, a jewelry type store in the mall. He had told her, like, do you think I want to be here? Your government paid me to come here. He's like, I don't want to be here. They paid me a lot of money to come here. I have more weapons than your guys' armory, military armory here. They give us lots of weapons because they know that we're going to be called terrorists when we come here. So they actually arm us. I have cannons and everything, or bazookas, weapons, more than you could ever imagine in my house, given to me by your government. I was like, damn. I mean, I don't think she was lying. I think she's ridiculous for thinking she's going to convert Muslims to Christianity. People don't even know they don't even read the Bible. Those people know the Quran. They know that shit. And they know your Bible. And it's not that they don't even accept Jesus, okay? You just, hey guys, cut off because my camera is running out of memory. I do not know why. Okay, so I'm just going to get straight into this regarding the ISIS beheadings. And we know that, like, a lot of these people will come out later on and say, hey, you know, this person said that. This is why they died. And they have all these videos, stuff like that. So you cannot believe what your eyes are seeing, and this is proof right here. So here's me, and here's the governor, former, and this is from, where's the date on the newspaper? May 19th, 2009. Terminator uses a virtual Schwarzenegger, and that is right there, virtual Schwarzenegger. I'm going to read it as fast as I can. It says he didn't leave the set. He didn't go to a spa. In the set of 2018, this fourth entry in the sci-fi series that made the Australian muscle man a Hollywood superstar leads up to the creation of the first T-800 Terminator model. We wanted to go just far enough to honor the passionate fans of the series, says Dr. McGee, Charlie's Angels. A big part of that would be, what does the T-800 look like? And we all know what the T-800 looks like, it looks like a certain Austrian bodybuilder. But even though he's in great shape for 61, these days Schwarzenegger is hardly the perfect specimen for the first scene arriving from the future buck naked in James Cameron's The Terminator 25 years ago. What we wanted to do also to further the language of the visual effects was to create a character that was ultimately synthetic but was photorealistic, McGee continues. You'll notice that it's the Schwarzenegger created from the scans from the picture. I suppose they made them in '83 down at Stan Winston Studios. And we took those scans and created a new code up at Industrial Light and Magic in San Francisco. And that made a photorealistic Schwarzenegger from the period of the first film. Although Salvation CG enhanced and yes, naked T-800 prototype resembles the mid-30s Arnold from head to toe, another iconically named Austrian bodybuilder, 41-year-old Roland Kickinger, did stand in duty during the live shot of the Cyborg's battle with Christian Bale's John Connor. What can I say? Bale shrugs. I'm fighting a near-naked 6-foot bodybuilder. It wasn't the most comfortable experience for me, but to keep the governors comfortable, McGee can't emphasize enough that no actual elected officials were used during the making of this movie. As the governor of California, Arnold couldn't be down messing around on a film set while he was on duty. The filmmaker points out, we've got budget problems. We've got employment issues. He's got to focus. We had to make it clear that he didn't spend any time on the set, and we were indeed just using his likeness. So they scanned the image at Stan Winston Studios in '83. So that just gives you an idea of like how far ahead they're doing this stuff, and it's very interesting. I would not even have this article if I wasn't in it. So, and I'm a famous apron maker. I make aprons all over the world. So, you can look up that when it comes to Inanna and the avatars of Mary and Garden of Eden and everything like that, and even the Masonic stuff. So, crazy. Like I say, like you can't go your life being an avatar or being me without on that 33rd birthday or whenever your awakening is to realize who you are, because my whole life is this. My whole life is what I'm doing right now, and it's like, it's crazy. It's just crazy to me. It's nuts. I know it's nuts. And I just keep on keeping on. And this is crazy too, because it actually mentions that I got my aprons from a dream. I had a dream, and that I've been doing it for 9 years now. So that's interesting, because it's like I literally saw it like in a dream, and then I ended up doing it. And the whole point of me doing it is because I am not a feminist. I never have been. I was a housewife, and I still am a housewife. I work from home, but I'm still a housewife. I still make sure I have time to be a wife and a mother. But the thing was, is I wanted something, because I don't like how they make housewives seem like fuddy-duddy, and you know, you can be a mother and be a wife and be sexy. That's why people think, oh, Beyonce's like the first. No, she's not, okay? Like, you can look my shit up. I've been trying to tell people, you can be a mom, and you can be a wife, and you can be sexy, and you don't have to be, you know, a nun, or forget who you are, or lose yourself to your situation, you know, if you understand your situation, what you are. Like, I love Roseanne Barr, because she says, like, I'm not a housewife, I'm a domestic goddess, and I always believed in that. I always believed that, you know, women should be women and men should be men. And I realized roles get reversed, but the nature of it is that. And it's also interesting in the Bible when it talks about like homosexuality, which it really doesn't. It says that women should not give up their natural use to bear children. It doesn't say anything about having sex. So that's very interesting, I think. But you know, just look into this stuff with the ISIS beheadings before you get mad or whatever. You know, the woman in the interview is wearing extensions. She's wearing hair extensions. No one has hair like that. And she's like, oh yeah, and she goes like this. She starts to lay her real hair on top of the hair extensions, and then you see her go like this, and she cups them all together and just lays them on top. So I thought that was interesting, though, because the picture falls down and stuff like that. But you know, what are they doing? You know, what are they doing? Why are these people trying to get you? Number one, everybody wants you to hate Obama, and so you should take a step back and wonder why they want you to hate him. That's what I think is very important. People need to do right now, is to take a step back and wonder why everybody hates him so much and why they want you to hate him. And I can tell you right now that for the first time in United States history, if you don't have a child, you can get Medi-Cal in California. You can get health care right now in California if you do not have a child, which before, if you weren't a breeder, they would not let you get health care. They wouldn't take care of you. So things are changing, and it's just interesting. It's interesting to kind of take a step back and with no judgment and just say, well, what's really going on? You know, what am I seeing? What am I experiencing? You know, and the hate coming from people towards it is a good indicator that something is off. So very cool. The date on this paper, I don't know if I showed you the date because I had to do a retake of this, was May 19th. And I don't know what else to get into, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Our newspaper posted an article once about how our government had made flying saucers that they were intending on putting in the sky to block the sun from people, which is crazy because they don't want the sun to be hitting people, especially people like if you're an avatar, you're activated by the sun, you get messages through the sun and stuff, and the moon, and so they want to block it, and they also talked about genetically modifying gigantic trees, gigantic sequoias, which are always, gigantic anyways, to block the sun, you know, in the future or whatever. And that was like in 2007 or so. I was in the Chamber of Commerce when I remember reading that, and then just thinking, our paper, and then they did a whole thing on the Federal Reserve, like, oh yay, the Federal Reserve is like, they give all their money to the Treasury, and like, yeah, like, which Treasury? Oh, the United States Treasury? Well, they're not sharing it? Wait a minute, like, what the fuck? So, anyways, yeah, and I want to do more on the churches in Visalia, and I'm definitely going to get into the human trafficking. I know a lot of people are waiting for me to talk about it, especially locally, and I am going to talk about it, but we are still gathering a lot of evidence and information, and I probably will bring it out in pieces, but it needs to be done the correct way. There is a impending case right now that's going on, and so we want to make sure that we don't interfere with that or cause it to be like an unfair trial or something like that. So anyways, Thank you very much for tuning in, for checking this out, and let me know, what you found and what you've seen about the ISIS beheadings or the ISIL beheadings, so-called. Okay? Peace.
Have sex with her so she can become immortal, but she doesn't want to. Sarah escapes and they chase after her. Vincent finds her and... He should have kicked a field goal with his stupid head. Neil